In my years appraising multi-million-dollar asset contracts and commercial leasing structures, I have viewed thousands of financial agreements. But in the normal business world, one foundational rule always applies. The tenant pays the rent, and the landlord protects the property. No commercial bank, no private investor, and no rational business owner would ever sign a lease where they take 100% of the financial risk, pay for all the structural renovations, absorb every single operational loss, and then hand over 100% of the cash register to the tenant, completely tax-free. It sounds like financial suicide. Imagine buying a commercial shopping mall, spending hundreds of millions of dollars to upgrade the storefronts to the exact premium specifications of a single anchor tenant, legally prohibiting your local mom-and-pop shops from selling goods within a 1-mile radius and allowing that tenant to keep every single dollar of revenue without paying a dime in property or sales tax. To make it worse, after 30 days, that tenant packs up and leaves, leaving you with massive utility debts and a vacant, deteriorating building that cost millions per year just to maintain. In the real world, you would be fired instantly for underwriting such a toxic portfolio. Yet, this is the exact legally binding contract that sovereign nations sign every single tournament cycle. In the world of global finance, there are corporations, there are sovereign governments, and then there is the supreme cartel of football. Officially registered as a non-profit charity, this entity manages a multi-billion-dollar wealth extraction machine that operates seamlessly above the laws of the nations that finance it. Welcome to the autopsy of the ultimate financial sanctuary. Let us audit the raw numbers behind the billionaire non-profit. Before we open the public ledger, a necessary institutional disclosure. The following content is an independent financial documentary produced strictly for educational, historical, and informational purposes. This analysis is based entirely on public fiscal records, Swiss regulatory filings, and open-source macroeconomic data. It does not constitute legal, financial, or investment advice, nor does it endorse any political party or administrative faction. The viewpoints expressed herein are purely analytical, focusing on the factual mechanics of global wealth distribution. Chapter 1. The Non-Profit Illusion. To understand how this system evades standard financial logic, we must examine its structural core in Zurich, Switzerland. Under Article 60 of the Swiss Civil Code, any group of individuals can form a non-profit association. This specific piece of legislation was originally drafted in the 19th century to protect local community groups, village churches, and small neighborhood charities. The law assumes the entity has a non-commercial, public good purpose. However, the global football cartel has meticulously maintained this exact same tax-exempt definition for decades, even as it transformed into a massive commercial juggernaut. When you audit their official financial statements, the scale of this loophole becomes shocking. Over the 4-year accounting cycle leading up to the 2022 tournament, the organization reported a record-breaking $7.5 billion in total revenue. In a standard corporate restructuring, a commercial entity generating those numbers would face heavy federal asset taxes and capital gains redistribution. But because Swiss law shields non-profit associations, virtually this entire capital influx remains untouched by domestic redistribution. They run their global operations with the aggressive commercial efficiency of an offshore investment bank, while hiding behind the legal paperwork of a local neighborhood soup kitchen. It is a financial vampire wearing a charity mask, and sovereign governments willingly open the door. Chapter 2. The Sovereign Shakedown. The real genius of this corporate playbook is demonstrated when the cartel invades a host nation. When a country wins the bidding war, they are not just agreeing to build modern stadiums. They are legally surrendering their fiscal sovereignty. The cartel demands the establishment of an absolute tax-free bubble surrounding all tournament operations. This means the organization, its corporate subsidiaries, its billionaire sponsors, and its official broadcast partners pay zero national or municipal taxes on the massive revenues generated during the event. Let's look at a real-world historical precedent from South America during the 2014 tournament cycle. To secure the event, the local parliament was forced to pass an emergency federal legislation, colloquially known as the Cartel Bill or Ley Copa. This law legally overrode the country-owned domestic tax protections, labor laws, and public safety codes. It allowed the cartel corporate sponsors to sell their products inside and outside the venues completely untaxed, while wiping out local corporate and value-added taxes. The host country spent billions of public money from its general infrastructure funds to upgrade transit lines and build stadiums, but the sovereign tax ledger was legally blindfolded. It behaves like an economic occupation. A foreign entity enters your territory, utilizes your police force for thousands of hours of unpaid security, stretches your emergency medical infrastructure to its absolute breaking point, and structures the deal so that not a single dollar leaks into the pockets of the local community that built the infrastructure. The local taxpayers take the long-term debt and the maintenance liabilities, while the Swiss association walks away with the clean, untaxed commercial profit. Chapter 3. The Retained Wealth Matrix. In standard corporate appraisal, excessive accumulated profits are either heavily taxed or paid out to shareholders as dividends to stimulate the economy. But a non-profit association has no shareholders to satisfy. Instead, this cartel accumulates its massive untaxed cash surpluses within its own internal treasury fortress to guarantee its independent financial sovereignty. Following the conclusion of the 2022 financial cycle, the organization official balance sheet revealed an unprecedented cash reserve buffer of nearly $4 billion. This liquid asset matrix is held in highly secure private commercial instruments and offshore banking accounts, completely insulated from market volatility. It is entirely disconnected from the economic devastation left behind in the host cities. Let's look at the audit of the 2010 tournament in South Africa. The local government spent over $3 billion of public money to build and upgrade stadiums. One specific venue, the Mbombela Stadium, cost approximately $150 million to construct in a region suffering from severe poverty and lack of basic public utilities. Today, that stadium is a white elephant, a financial zombie. It generates virtually zero commercial revenue, yet it costs the local municipality millions of dollars every single year just to maintain its empty concrete shell and mow the grass turf. It is the equivalent of a family taking out a high-interest, 30-year mortgage to buy a gold-plated luxury vehicle when their house does not even have running water. The vehicle sits depreciating in the driveway while the family goes hungry to pay the bank. While local municipalities from Rio de Janeiro to Johannesburg are still actively underwriting the crushing bond debts of these crumbling, vacant ghost stadiums, the central organization in Zurich sits on a $4 billion liquid vault. They wield independent financial and geopolitical leverage, acting as a sovereign global central bank rather than a sports association. The ledger never lies. The sports mega-event model is fundamentally broken for local communities. It is a highly engineered system of capital misallocation, institutional tax avoidance, and structural wealth transfer. Sovereign nations voluntarily liquidate their public funds, diverting taxpayer money away from schools, public housing, healthcare, and critical public maintenance, just to underwrite the private profits of a Swiss cartel. The local community inherits the structural deficit, while the global elite privatizes the economic yield. The blueprint is flawless, and it repeats every 4 years with absolute precision. If you want to see exactly how this financial extraction machine is currently deploying these exact same toxic mechanics inside the United States for the 2026 tournament, click on our detailed forensic audit of the 3 American host cities on your screen right now. Welcome to the Ledger. Subscribe to Inside Hayes Mind, turn on notifications, and look at the raw numbers they do not want you to audit.